Would you please give us your closing statement, sir?
First of all, once again, would like to thank the organizations for hosting this forum. If I'm elected, I will be a strong advocate for accountability, accessibility, transparency. I will not be controlled or manipulated by staff. I will provide strong, fresh leadership. I'll be a passionate voice for all people. I believe that the district has so much potential, but we have to be more open, more transparent, more inclusive. We must sit down with our stakeholders, people that are invested in the system, and get their input. I keep saying, if we keep on going in the same old direction that we're going, we're going to get the same old results. Sometimes you have to shake things up, you have to change things, you have to do things in a different way to attract new people, to open up new opportunities. People always say, why are we doing the same old thing the same old way? We don't want to change. I say, let's bring some new change to the board, some new vision, new ideas, and someone that will work for accessibility, inclusion, in everyone in the community. I've talked to senior citizens. I've talked about accountability, accessibility, and if I'm elected to the Imperial Irrigation District Board, I would like to join forces with this group and say, hey, hold me accountable for the things that I say, the things that I do, and let's work together. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. McFadden. Ms. Galindo, could you make a closing statement, please?
Thank you. I'd like for you to consider continuing the progress. In just 1 year as your director, I've kept my promise to protect the Valley's water rights, to promote agriculture as the #1 asset, to protect consumers by minimizing rate impacts to families and businesses, to advocate for low power rates, and lest we forget, we have the lowest power rates in the state of California. We've reduced municipal water rates and saving some cities as much as $250,000 in 1 year, to expand services such as attic insulation and energy saving rebates to benefit all the ratepayers, demand fiscal accountability and transparency from the management, to strongly support the restoration of the Salton Sea, to support green energy projects, to dismiss low and non-performing attorneys, reduce legal and outside contractor costs. We to work cohesively with the board of directors and to maintain the district's balancing authority. I've only been at this job for 1.5 years, and I ask you to give me the opportunity for another 4 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Galindo. Mr. Desert, your closing statement, sir.
Yes, thank you, Doug. There's many things that need to be finished that have been started by this board and initiated also by myself and the previous board. We need to work on our storage, our water storage underground, and also along the Colorado River has been discussed tonight. We need to work on our transmission system build out on the electrical side to make sure that we show the world, and especially the federal government, that we can maintain and control our balancing authority to control those vitally important power rates. We need to kick off renewable energy development along the Salton Sea, and at the same time have a second win out of that kickoff and mitigate some of the environmental impacts, the air pollution impacts from a receding Salton Sea. We need to be smarter about where we put solar projects. We need to be smarter about how we put the contracts together and make sure that we don't have any further bypasses that further deteriorate our system. We must remember that people want our power and water resources. These are really smart people with a lot of legal teams and a lot of money behind them. And we have a very educated IID board and staff at this time. And this is at the forefront of all our thoughts and our decisions. But beyond that, beyond these big ticket items that we talk about that bore some of the regular folks and the average ratepayers out there, you need to know that we are concerned with your lives and your livelihood. We have reduced these power rates twice, effectively returning that over-collection account of over $100 million. We have enhanced our public benefits programs for attic insulation, home insulation, rooftop solar, and air conditioner replacement. We've reduced municipal water rates to the same of agriculture, saving the city of Raleigh, for an example, upwards of $400,000. We do these things because we keep in mind the ratepayer out there. We'll always remember you, and I ask for your vote June 3rd so I can continue to do that. But beyond those savings to the ratepayer, remember that agreement that we had with Imperial County, that MOU. That effectively put a stop to the lawsuits, and it wasn't mandated by court. It was direction by directors that stepped forward and said we need to put this thing to an end and figure out what's best for all the residents in Imperial Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Desert. And Mr. Hanks, your closing statement, sir.
I do not believe that management should be by political judgment. A fiduciary is one who looks out for the interests legally and in the best interest of another. That is an IID director. A director owes a duty to exercise good business judgment and use ordinary care and prudence in the operation of business. They must discharge their action in good faith and in the best interest of the organization, exercising the care of an ordinary person would use under similar circumstances. Directors have a duty not to waste organization assets by overpaying for property or employment services. Waste is an exchange so one-sided that no business person of ordinary sound judgment could conclude the organization has received adequate consideration. The board has a duty of care. They should have the ability to see the foreseeability of harm that comes our way. They should be prudent. And the duty of care is also to be reasonably informed. You have to make the time and effort to fulfill your duties as a board, and I pledge my continued dedication to that service.
Thank you, Mr. Hanks. And Mr. Horn, would you please give us your closing statement, sir?
I'd like to see the Imperial Valley become a wonderful place to live. I grew up here in, as I've stated previously, and there was enough water to develop the Imperial Valley at the time, to farm, to water your yards, and now that green energy has become a big issue, that the communities on the coast are growing, and California is primarily a desert. The litigation has taken off to such a degree that I can't see how we could do nothing other than bring more water into the valley and not try to cut up diminishing resources that are presently available. Dams, that's one way. Lots of different things to come up with on how to make life easier for people who live in the Imperial Valley and the community. I want to do change, and I know that can be made possible. I want to see these changes benefit the community. I want to see, if at all feasible, some way that we can benefit from the emergence of solar power, wind power, and geothermal energies, that we receive some type of residual monies so that we can lobby the federal government to bring in greater amounts of water from other areas and work as an American and other Americans to be functionally a community which I grew up in, and where farmers do not have to earn their money from fallowing the ground. And I thank the Growers Association for asking me to speak this evening. I'd like your vote on June 3rd. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Horn. And this effectively ends tonight's candidate forum.